Hello, we are going live today to talk with the spiritual investor, Elizabeth Ralph. She is quite an inspiration. She's done everything from retiring herself at age 40, oh, and she's here, to really creating this beautiful program that is teaching us all, no matter how novice or expert you are, how to actually invest in the market and get yourself in the market, get yourself on an investing track, and use your energy and your alignment and your inner voice and your emotions to really help you invest. So it's not just a mind process. So I'm going to bring Elizabeth about that. And if this is something that feels really exciting to you, you can shoot me a DM and you can let me know that you want to join, because Elizabeth is opening up her program, The Spiritual Investor, which I was a beta member in. I've loved it. I continue to use it, and it's definitely something that is supportive for everyone. And Elizabeth, you're here. Hi.
Hi, how's it going?
So great. It's so good to see you.
I know it's been a while, but I love your stories. I love watching the just the personal stuff that you do and the products and the make. I love it. I absolutely love it. So I've missed you.
I've missed you too. I was thinking about you. So I have been practicing Finance Friday.
Ooh, I like that.
And what it means is I do one finance thing. So today I bought some stock.
Good for you. Good for you.
But so it's either like buy some stock or follow along with you in Circle in your Spiritual Investor Club, where Elizabeth talks about like what's going on in the market, what we need, what might be supportive to get into right now, or I do something like something for my account. Right?
I love it. I love that. That is such a great concept too, because it's the small things that add up and that change the habits and the shifts and all of that. We're actually incorporating, and Kimi is really leading the way on a lot of this. Kimi is a joint friend of ours for all of you guys, and she's amazing. But we are adding in a whole new accountability element within the Spiritual Investor Program to create more of exactly what you're talking about because of the importance of it. So I'm so glad that you brought that up because it makes a difference.
Yeah, it's been really helpful, and it's like we keep evolving, and so when you get into that finance world, it's like baby steps, and then the steps get bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And you're so right. Like I'm just like expanding my tolerance for diving into it's like every Friday we just do one little thing. Today was really fun because there was some stock that I'd been wanting to buy.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, it's a great time too. I mean, it's always a great time, it's interesting because you remember how you've been in the investing club. So how like it's like people are so afraid, and I kept getting all these questions last year about, oh my God, the whole world's going to hell in a handbasket. We're going into this awful recession and blah, blah, blah. And I kept saying, I was like, just keep investing, just keep going, right? Now, the market is up 9% for the year, and the NASDAQ, which is the tech index, is up 18% for the year. So it's just like, I think it goes to show, like, for all of you guys listening here, don't let anyone or anything knock you off of your course of what you want. If you want to build wealth, don't get off course. That's probably the best thing that you can do. And by incorporating this Finance Friday thing, that's committing to that. That's honoring that.
Yeah, exactly. And, when we talk about like your emotional body and emotions, like that can block you from doing something like that, right? Because there's like a nervous system reaction. And so that's what I was saying. I'm building my tolerance because if finances feel really scary and you have like a knee-jerk reaction to them, that you might be like, oh my gosh, I can't invest because I can't even look at my bank account. And there's an emotional response, but you can do both, and you can start to build your tolerance at the same time with those little baby steps so that you're not kind of left behind.
Yeah. This brings up a question. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, but how much do you think that people not investing has to do with the fact that they sort of in that moment, you're talking about when they're like, you're finance ready, you're ready to invest. Like, do you think that people would not do it because they're like, oh, I don't have enough money, or maybe I need to spend that money on something else? Or do you think that that's one of the things that stops people?
Well, it's so interesting because I grew up, even though like I didn't have a lot of money growing up, my dad actually instilled investing in me. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so I always had like this little thing going to my IRA like my whole life. And but taking the bigger step was, to me, always felt like more about how much money I had, for sure.
Yeah.
Like to make bigger investments. And you mentioned this, I saw this on your stories, Elizabeth's stories, y'all. Thank you everyone for being here. But her stories are so great for like these little tidbits of information. And it just helps you to like get into it, right? And I saw in your stories you answered a question that someone had in your workshop yesterday, which was, what if I have debt?
Yeah.
And can I still invest? And so you kind of talked about that, because I suspect that's another big part. It's like, well, once I pay off my debt, then I can start investing.
Yeah, and I can see the argument with that. I mean, you saw the way that I answered it was, again, same thing I said just a few minutes ago, is don't get off course with it. I can see why people would feel like they want to put everything towards the debt. But the reality is people were saying the same thing last year. And now the people who wish that they put part of it towards investing, because then they could, if they wanted to, use that to pay off the debt. Like, it's interesting because Leanne, right, who works with me. So she used to be a saver until she started working with me, and now that she's learned more about investing. So what she has done, she told me this a couple of years ago, that she was putting money into an account to buy her son a car when he turned 16. Well, she just left me a message this week that, like, instead of saving it, she had invested it for all of this time. And she just literally went in there and cashed it out. And it is so much more that she gets to spend on her son's first vehicle. And it is just so meaningful, to be able to do that. So I don't want people missing out on that. And I also know the long-term cost of not investing, right? We all know what $1,000 does in 30 years. So if you're sitting here putting every bit of that thousand towards debt, you're missing out on the opportunity cost of the exponential compound growth as well. So that's just an opinion. That's just my thought on it, though. And I think that it also creates this new normalization. I did a live workshop yesterday, and I talked about the 7 laws of money. One of them is money normalization, and that is like you're creating that, Dana, because you're saying, okay, on Friday, this is what I do. Pretty soon, it won't be something extra you do. It'll be a normal thing on Friday, right? So,
And I might look forward
yeah.
to it.
Huh?
And I said, and I'll look forward to it.
Yes, yes. And so by continuing to investing, it no longer represents something outside of you as not being normal,
Oh, I love that. And that's so key. And I'll tag some stuff in my stories afterward, because Elizabeth did a great workshop and she has these 7 laws of money that are worth looking into. But it's true because, and we've talked about this before. I was looking at, by the way, my podcast episodes. I'll link those as well, everyone. An episode I did with you is my top episode ever downloaded. Yay,
I love that. Oh,
yeah.
That's because the magic between you and I. I'm telling you.
Yeah. So
I love that.
it's talking about wealth and intuition is what we were talking about. But
that is good. I'm so glad that you're going to pin that here
yes.
for people to benefit from.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's a tuning in podcast, and I'll have them check that out, and I'll put that in the stories afterward.
Yes.
But the normalization, that's why I have loved being in your program. Like, I go in and out of like being in it. but it's that constant, tapping into that. It's like, okay, this is something I can do. This is something I do. This is who I am. This is how I operate. And it's built that. Whereas for so long, it was always separate. Like money is separate from me.
Mm-hmm.
Investing is separate from money. And it was like creating all these categories, which were all of these things that I had to like get over. And it was so much more energy. Hi, everyone who's joining. It was so much more energy than to like, as I'm starting to integrate it, of like, this is part of me, of like the whole.
Yes, yes. And I'm really glad that you do go in and out of the program, because I think I want people to realize that it's more of a practice than it is a program, because it's come as you are very much. It's got a strong live element, because the whole live thing is really important to me. I like to do things in real time. And I don't think that people need to go through it in a linear fashion, because I don't know that we go through life in a linear fashion. And some people might be like, okay, I want to start investing. And some people might need to do a little money management. And some people might want to work more on their money frequency, right? And so that's what I love, and that's what I'm excited about. And one of the things I'm so excited about is you coming into the program in June and teaching the workshop on finding my why. And I talked about it yesterday in the live, and everyone got excited about it, because I even got a message right after that said, from one of the students, who said, I cannot wait for Dana's session, because I've always felt like, I don't have the strong why. And, like sometimes I'll share mine, which is like about horses. And I don't want people to feel like that I don't feel like you don't have to have, it doesn't have to be something monumental. It just has to mean something to you. And so you are going to be such an amazing guide, Dana, for helping people with that, because there's no human soul better in the world than you, with inner voice and intuition and guidance and all of that. So I'm just so grateful for that.
Yes, I'm so excited. So for you're listening, like, what is the connection? So Elizabeth's program, the Spiritual Investor, which you can join right now, and we'll put the links in afterward. But such an amazing program. It's like the foundations of investing, but not just investing. Like you said, there's investing, there's money management, and then arguably the most important part is the money frequency and the energetic spiritual aspect of it. So she's combining all of that, which is why I joined, because so many money programs had been like, they're so mind and rigid, and they felt separate, right? This like helps you integrate. Mm-hmm. And a big part of Elizabeth's teachings are finding your why, right? Your why, if you have your why, it's going to make your connection and frequency with money that much easier. And Elizabeth has the most beautiful why, and it's like really inspiring. And we're not all there yet, and we aren't all driven by the same things. And so I'm doing an entire workshop about using your inner voice, right? Your intuitive part of you, to actually connect to what your why is. Because here's the thing. If you're trying to have a why, say like Elizabeth's, or like someone else's that you see, because like something really altruistic that feels like it has to be this like big thing, there can be a lot of pressure. And if it's not truly aligned with where you're at right now, there's a break in the chain, and it actually becomes like a block, versus something like really inspiring and fluid that is like drawing you forward.
Yes, that's such a beautiful way you explained it. It is so true. You're right. Without truly connecting with it in an aligned way, it is intrinsically blocking it, isn't it? Because sort of like you don't know what path to take when you wake up in the mornings, type of thing. So that causes split energy.
Yes. Yeah. So we want to really help people. So those who join, now, we're like, that workshop is so foundational to the work that Elizabeth teaches, because like once that clicks into place, right? It's not like once you think of a good enough one, but it's like once that lands and clicks into place, it
Mm-hmm.
becomes this motor that creates so much momentum for everything you do in her program and in your realm of money and wealth and
Yes.
energy and frequency.
Yes, absolutely. I love it so much. And I think, as a matter of fact, I think it's a great time to join to be able to participate in that workshop live, to be
Mm.
honest with you. We're doing that. We're doing some clarity on money management stuff as well in June. It's just, I don't know. I'm so excited about all the new stuff, and I love the way it's helping people. I mean, it's my joy. You know, I made some, and I don't even know if I've talked to you about this, but I made some big decisions in the business, you know, to that's going to allow for more freedom of space and all of that to go deeper in with the spiritual investor students. And I think it's just, I don't know, between that and then I've got the Camino coming up and all that. I'm just feel like it's, there's been so many structures breaking around us. And it's like, I feel like we're all stepping into this time of like, okay, we are new, but how are we going to define that new? Are we just going to do the same thing and then drag the old same habits in? Are we going to do kind of what you were just talking about at the beginning and incorporate the new things? Because that's the perfect opportunity. You know, we've all gone, I think it's been quite a year for a lot of us, you know?
Yeah. What do you like when people are coming into your program? Where do you see them like being drawn to most right now? Because I know we talk a lot about investing, like that's like a very core piece. And
Yeah.
it's so great that you're doing that because I think it helps get, like I said in the beginning, it helps ease people into the world of investing that can feel very overwhelming. Like even this morning I was in Fidelity, like, and I'm like, God, why is this? It's so complex
Yeah.
and ugly.
It
Like
is.
I don't like being in the system, which in itself is a
Mm-hmm.
repellent, but
Yeah.
because of what I've done with you in the program, like I can move through that.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like that whole piece, but then there's like the money management and the frequency. Like what do you feel people are needing most right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, I think what people are craving and the reason that they're coming into the program is that they are tired of relying just on earned income.
Mm.
And so I think there was this, you know, over the last couple of years, we've seen this on social big time. There's been this push with entrepreneurs creating these businesses that, you know, okay, within 2 weeks, you know, you're at 7 figures and you're working 2 hours a week, right? That's what we've been seeing and that's what we've been fed and all of that. But the reality is that's not the reality, right? So I think that people are craving stability.
Mm.
And I think that they're coming into the realization that they can be an entrepreneur, a creative, and have variable income and can create solid foundational stability in their life if they do things a new way. Because what was happening before is we were trying to do things in the old money way, which we learned from our parents, yet we were trying to be, you know, these cutting edge entrepreneurs that had this income that was like wildly going all over the place. And it's like, where is the middle ground? And so most of the people that I see coming in are just open and completely ready to relax into their money. They are craving that feeling of ease with it, and they're ready to take, even if it's not a large amount, because that's the thing I want people to realize is you don't have to have a certain amount of money to do this, right? And even debt, right? It's okay. You can still apply creativity and expansion to your money no matter where you are. And I think that's what people are wanting is I think they're saying no to being reliant on the system. And if you're continuing to only have earned income, you're reliant on the system. So even if you take out of every dollar, let's say you take 2 cents, let's say you take 2%, and what happens is you learn to expand that, the joy and the ease, and you're so proud of yourself by learning how to do that far, far exceeds the amount of money that you're making at that point. And that's one of the things that I want people to realize ahead of time, is that that's what you're really missing out on. You're missing out on your own momentum, like creating your own momentum from within about money. And you have felt this before.
Mm-hmm. Is it possible for people to feel ease with money even if they're not making as much as they want to make?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I can't say that there is one wet path to that. There's various paths to that. I think one of the things that the program does is it gives you the time and the space and the confidence to self-reflect, because the answers are within you on that. For some people, it has to do with forgiveness, because a lot of people, they have regrets about money. I made a bad decision. I don't trust myself with money now. I should have started investing 10 years ago. Sometimes it has to do with that. Sometimes it really has to do with being able to hold money. A lot of times people are bringing in massive amounts of money, but then it's just going poop right out the door. For some people, they're not at ease because they're hoarding money, they're saving money. And we were taught that saving money is like the good Samaritan thing to do. But you've got to look at your intention behind saving, because there can be an element of fear behind saving too, that will go with you a lifetime and is creating this subconscious level of stress that we've normalized about money. That's the big thing, is once people start letting this go, you work with people who are like, the emotional cleansing thing. Once you start letting it go, you almost don't know yourself anymore, because you're like, wow, I feel so much better. Yet it didn't take a whole lot of things to change, but there needed to be those few key things,
Yeah. Oh, that is so well said. And I just want everyone to hear that, really. It gives you the space to self-reflect and find those activations that are creating this big drama and pain that we see people have with money. I mean, and I've been there. It's like, it didn't matter how little or how much I was making, like the pain was there and the fear was there.
Yeah.
And
yes,
it's like, everyone wants to know, well, how do you let go? Like, how do you clear that? Like, how do you find neutrality? This is the core teaching of Elizabeth's. How do you find neutrality with money? And the truth is, and to find neutrality with money is to meet the frequency of money, because money's frequency is neutrality.
Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
How am I doing?
Yes. Good job.
So there's not one thing. There's not just one thing. So that's why if you were to get in the program or start following Elizabeth's content, listen to her podcast, you start to be able to reflect and uncover what it is that you're needing, what it is that your nervous system is needing, what emotions and challenges. I definitely was one of like, I can't trust myself with money. Like I spend too much.
Yeah, I remember that.
Right. And I still spend maybe, too much, but it's not about changing it's shifted my internal state. So I'm not spending out of fear.
Yeah.
Right.
Your intention, it's a different energy behind the spending now with you. Yeah. And that's the key, is that you're more in resonance with it. And that's the thing. It's not about limiting what you do. A lot of people think when they do money management, it's like, oh, I have to give up all these things. Actually, no. You're just feeling a lot better about the money you're spending.
I know. And it's like mentally, like even as you hear that and I feel the truth, and like it didn't make sense to me before, like back, but it is worth it. Like, let me just preach for a second. It is so worth it to invest your time and energy and money even into shifting your relationship with money, because it resolves so much internally. It's like, an easy way to say it is, if you in the past had like a really tumultuous relationship with food, right? Say you were like binge eating or all of that, or you were anxious eating, and all this, and all you want is to feel calm about food.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel calm about food, you're tuned into the signals that your body is giving. You're not following something on the outside that's telling you what's okay, how much, how little.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just following the signals of your body. And I've heard this over and over from people. It's like, then they just find their natural equilibrium with their body weight, with what they eat, with what they don't eat, with what they crave, with what they don't crave, because they found neutrality.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And that's how it works with money. It's like, it's the same thing, as you'll find your own equilibrium, because when we're constantly pushing down stories, when we're constantly in fear, when we're constantly doubting like our ability, we're constantly like, it's not enough, it's not enough, it's not enough.
Yes.
We end up in that place where fear is driving all of our decisions, and it's crippling.
You're right. You're right. You're exactly right. It's just a process of clearing, isn't it? It's clearing, it's self-reflection, it's bringing in the new, and then it's kind of repeating the cycle,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it? Whether it's money or food or anything like that. I love that example, Dana. I love that how you really, because you're such a grounding factor for all of us, the people that you work with. I mean, me, like, it's funny when I was talking about you yesterday, I'm like, Dana is the light, because I've always told you that, right? And I'm like, I don't even think she's a human. I think she's just like a soul. You're like beyond a human. But you have this grounded nature about you that just really almost allows people to feel more at ease around you, which is kind of what people are really wanting to feel with money, to be honest with you.
Well, and I've told you this over and over, is you're that person for me with money. Like, every time we engage, every time, I dip in and out of your program or jump on one of your workshops, it's like it restores that, like, this is possible for me. This is doable. This isn't this big thing that I have to like overcome. It's like you live, and this goes, so well, as like you live and embody that frequency. And when we tap into you, like everyone here who's on the live, everyone, if you get into Elizabeth's program, if you listen to her podcast, like clearly the people who've listened to my podcast are tapping into that energy as well. It's like it's the ripple effect. It's like like with nervous system, it's like co-regulation. Your stability around money and like your story, like if anyone has questions, Elizabeth is so well versed in this, and she has such a great story behind it. It helps co-regulate the rest of us, and then we all get to rise to that more stable frequency, and it's like such a ripple effect and a collective benefit that we get. And you're doing that. I mean, you're doing that through everything that you do, through your lives, through the work you do, through your ranches and your horses and your podcasts and your program, The Spiritual Investor. Like, it's all like raising us to that space. And so I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you so much. That means the world to me, Dana. It does.
Yeah. So if people want to, if they're like, well, shoot, at the very least, I know I want to be in Elizabeth's energy, because that's true. And this is the best way to get into it. If they want to join the Spiritual Investor, if they want to get in now, you'll get the workshop that I'm doing in June.
Yeah.
But is the best way to follow you on Instagram, to check out your podcast? Like, what's the best way for them to take that next step?
I would say, are you going to have a link here?
Yes, that's
Okay.
true. I will have a link.
So I would say go through the link here, and I would say, I mean, Dana, you've been in the program since the beginning. You were a beta member. So I would say if you have any questions whatsoever, ask Dana. You can ask me too, but I think Dana's been in the program for 4 years now. So she's going to be pretty much an expert on all things about it. And I would say don't delay on this. Like, I think there are a lot of big things going on out there in the world. And I think also I just want to acknowledge that I know a lot of people are worried about debt. I know a lot of people are worried about, they want to buy a house. Like there's all of these things out there. And I just want to encourage you that there are always, throughout history, it's always been the case where it doesn't matter what's going on in the economy, there is a creative, amazing opportunity for you that specifically matches you. And it's just like Dana said, it's the clearing effect that is actually going to allow you to see that. And so don't get caught up in this whole circumstances of what everything is right now, because that's just proliferating that cycle. Do something like this, either join the Spiritual Investor Program or get deeper into this, or even start with something easy yourself like Finance Fridays. And if you have a couple of things, like even Dana said that, right? I think that would probably be the biggest encouragement, is stop the cycle of where you are now, because if anyone's following you, they're amazing humans and they're here on this earth to do big things. And that is the time to do that, is now. The time is now. So don't let the 3D circumstances convince you otherwise, Yeah. And, like you said, my podcast, the Spiritual Investor podcast, you can listen to that. But I would say definitely get with Dana and jump in there. Get in there for this workshop too, because we're at the midpoint of the year. And everybody is going to be looking. You're going to be sitting at that Christmas table around, at dinner table at Christmas time and being like, reflecting back on the year. So you've still got half of a year to do whatever the hell you want to do. But it's likely going to need to look different than the way that you were doing it before. So you can get into the program. We can future create that for you, because that's a lot of what we do, is future create. And then we teach you how to reverse engineer into it when it comes to investing, your goals. You'll be drawing out a timeline. You're going to speak to your spouse differently. You're going to speak to your kids differently. You are going to feel different. And that's, I think, what's the important thing about it.
Yeah, that's the core driver, right? Because we know that when you shift internally, your external circumstances shift.
Yeah, because you show up different. Yeah. People get different reactions in the world. I was just 2 students this week said to me, I can't believe all the opportunities that have come into my life, and they just got in the energy of it. So you don't even, if it's, to me, it's relative to how open you are. It's not relative to 3D time as how fast it happens for you.
Yeah. Oof. Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah. Well, yeah, so if anyone has questions, you can reach out to Elizabeth. Please just send me a DM. I love talking about this.
Yes.
I'm a huge proponent of Elizabeth and what she's doing in this world. And yeah, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited for the workshop and all the other things that are happening. So thank you, Elizabeth.
Me too.
Tag everything up. I'll do a few story slides after this and give everyone any information, resources that they need. But yeah, it's like building that next chapter for yourself and starting now.
Yes.
Knowing that the ripple effect is just, unbelievable.
Oh my God, you're so amazing. Thank you so much for spending this time with me and co-creating all of this. And Satnam Laura, so amazing, and so much love to all of you guys.
Yay! Thanks, everyone. See you in the program.
All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.